Ron?
Thank you, band. That's so awesome. I can't help but tap my feet. Welcome. My name is Marlena Rice. I have been a member of this church, I just counted a few minutes ago, for 42 years. I raised my children here, and when they left from the church, I stayed. And I've been involved in many ways, some large, some small. And today I'm running Poetry as Practice. It's at noontime in the living room. You don't have to brought any poetry with you. You don't even have to like poetry to come. 2 months ago, someone came, well, I thought I wanted to join you, even though I hate poetry. And she had a good time. So please come if you'd like to. We have copies of poems, and we discuss them. My pronouns are she and her. We are so glad you're with us here today. If you are a newcomer, we hope you'll keep coming back and make your spiritual home with us. For those who already made UU Amherst your home, we hope you will continue to challenge yourself and discover opportunities to learn and serve. For those gathered in the chapel, I urge you to place your phone on, or watch, on airplane mode. Yes, to free up web bandwidth for those live streaming. Please do so now. If you need a little extra hearing support, we have 2 suggestions. You might consider moving closer to the front where the sound is more robust. Additionally, we have assisted hearing devices at the usher station at the back of the chapel. Feel free to borrow one for service because you will not want to miss a moment. Everything about our time together has been carefully crafted to create a cohesive experience. So let yourself relax and be fully present to what unfolds around and within you. You are among friends. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, whomever you love, you are welcome.
Let me offer a word of welcome. I'm Reverend Michelle Buhite, the minister of this congregation. My pronouns, which I offer to create a truly inclusive and brave space for all to live into the fullness of their identities, are she and her. Today's service is a conversation. Granted, I'm going to do a lot of the talking, but it's a conversation. about one of the shared values of Unitarian Universalism, which is pluralism. We'll consider how countercultural pluralism can be at a time when our country is in a tug of war for people's hearts and minds. As the most conservative of the conservatives double down with a xenophobic agenda of walls and deportations, it is increasingly important for us to lift up and create pathways to greater understanding and a wider perspective. So we'll be weaving in the principles that have guided us for decades as we confront our own feelings, maybe of helplessness or ambivalence, as well as our commitment to compassion and justice. So I invite you to buckle up your seatbelts and hang on. It is super fun to have James Runfola at the piano again. Yay! He's been away at Fredonia studying music and is home on winter break, getting ready to go back. And we have with James our in-house band members, Phil Mann on bass, and Ron Snazzy Canazzi on drums. The guys will count us in and carry us along as we sing When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. It's found in the Teal Hymnal, number 1008. And if you're wondering just what UU Amherst is all about, this song pretty much tells our story. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing together. Okay, Ron, count us in. Chorus. When our heart is in a holy place. You may be seated.
You guys rock. I like it. They and you. Betty Crump, would you come forward? When we gather, we employ the elements of water and fire to create the sacred space where we can be fully present. We begin with the acknowledgement that our church is built on holy ground. We'll start with the water. Land that was nurtured and cultivated by those who occupied it before us. We offer this libation as our giveaway as we honor the struggle of all people seeking justice and peace. We seek the courage and wisdom to heal the wounds of the past and build a better future story for all our neighbors and fellow creatures together. It is our custom when we gather to light a chalice. The chalice is a cup or vessel that symbolizes the gathered community. The flame represents the spark that each of us brings to represent the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of our commitment to bring more compassion and justice to the world. Please join me in our chalice lighting words. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of a life we share together.
Each week, we bring our whole selves into this sacred time. We bring our joys, our concerns, our sorrows, and the table where we gather is at the center. It's at the heart of UU Amherst. I invite you to come forward and to place a stone or a shell on the table labyrinth in honor of all that you bring with you, trusting that you can lay down a burden, recognize a joy in the safe container that has been created by our presence together. Come forward as the music plays. Place the final stone in recognition of the joys, concerns, and sorrows of those who are joining us online. Know that you are held in the wider circle of this community. Let's share just a few breaths together as we expand our circle. We expand it to include those who may not be present, but whom we care. We bring into our circle of love and care those who are ill, those who are in pain, your spirit, those who are lonely, those who are overwhelmed and feeling lost, and those who have been wronged. We hold in our hearts those who have been impacted by the wildfires in California. There is not an inhabited continent in all this world that is not hurting from natural or human-made disasters and strife. May our hearts remain tender, even when we would create a wall around them. May we continue to find hope in the goodness of life and the source of love. Sometimes affirming our place in the web of life is a comfort, and in others, it breaks our hearts. May we find strength and peace and the courage to carry on. Amen and blessed. I invite you to sing with me, All This Joy. I have a wonder box and I wonder what's inside it. That was pretty tuneless, Michelle, but you know, I'm going on the fly here. Oh, if only some kids wanted to come and find out what's going on in here. I hope I'm not breaking it. Bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, bum. What could be in here? What do you think? You don't know? Oh my goodness. Well, a box is on the outside. You think it's rocks in a box? You are remarkably close, not because of what's in it, by the fact of the poetry of having rocks in a box. Oh, some of the grown-ups have a clue what the poetry is about. Who do you think the poetry is written by, adults? You're so good at that. They think it's by Dr. Seuss. Well, I'm going to open my wonder box that I've been wondering about all morning. Do you think it's safe? It sounded kind of big. It's safe. I'm very brave. Well, this is very strange. This is very strange. What do you think this is? It's a tree star, like you put on the top of the Christmas tree. But Christmas is over. So maybe it's just a star. Maybe it's just a star. I am thinking about a book. I am thinking about a book by one of my favorite poets. Yes, by a poet named Dr. Seuss. Yes, he was a poet. You can believe me. Even though I make things up, you can believe me. So I'm going to put the star here. No, I'm not. Okay. It reminds me of one of my favorite stories from Dr. Seuss. And it's an important story. So I'm going to hope that this little stool and my body will find the perfect equilibrium and not have a moment. All of you, hold your breath. So far, so good. Okay. So, adults, I'm sorry you only get one picture. You can stare at the screens. Kids, you get it all. Now, the star-belly sneeches had bellies with stars. The plain-belly sneeches had none upon theirs. Those so big, they were really so small, you might think such a thing wouldn't matter at all. But because they had stars, all the star-belly sneeches would brag, we're the best kind of sneeches on the beaches. With their snoots in the air, they would sniff and they'd snort. We'll have nothing to do with the plain-belly sort. And whenever they met some, they were out walking, they'd hike right on past them without even talking. When the star-bellied children went out to play ball, could a plain belly get in the game? Not at all. You only could play if your bellies had stars, and the plain-bellied children had none upon theirs. When the star-belly sneeches had Frankfurt or picnics or parties or marshmallow roast, they never invited the plain-belly sneeches. They left them out cold of the beaches. They kept them away, never let them come near, and that's how they treated them year after year. Oh. Then one day, it seems, while the plain-belly sneeches were moping and doping alone on the beaches, just sitting there wishing their bellies had stars, a stranger zipped up in the strangest of cars. My friends, he announced in a voice clear and clean, my name is Sylvester McMonkey McBean, and I've heard of your troubles. I've heard you're unhappy. But I can fix that. I'm the fix-it-up chappie. I've come here to help you. I have what you need. Bless you. And my prices are low, and I work at great speed, and my work is 100% guaranteed. Sylvester McMonkey McBean put together a very peculiar machine, and he said, you want stars like a star-belly sneak? My friends, you can have them for $3 each. Right aboard, and so they clambered inside. Then the big machine roared, and it clonked, and it bonked, and it jerked, and it burped, and it popped them about. But the thing really worked. When the plane just popped out, they had stars. They actually did. They had stars upon theirs. Then they yelled at the ones who had stars at the start. We're exactly you can't tell us apart. We're all just the same now, you snooty old smarties. And now we can go to your Frankfurt parties. Good grief, groaned the ones who had stars at the first. We're still the best Sneetches, and they are the worst. But now how in the world will we know? They all frowned. If which kind is what, or the other way round? Then up came McBean with a very sly wink, which I would do if I had the capacity for winking. And he said things are not quite as bad as you think. So you don't know who's who. That is perfectly true. But come with me, friends. Do you know what I'll do? I'll make you again the best Sneetches on beaches, and all it will cost you is $10 eaches. Belly stars are no longer in style, said McBean. What you need is a trip through a star-off machine. This wondrous contraption will take off your stars, so you won't look like the Sneetches who have them on theirs. And that handy machine worked very precisely, removed all the stars from their tummies quite nicely. Then, with snoots in the air, they paraded about, and they opened their beaks, and they let out a shout. We know who is who, now there isn't a doubt. The best kind of Sneetches are Sneetches without. Then, of course, those with stars all got frightfully mad. To be wearing a star now was frightfully bad. Old Sylvester McMonkey McBean invited them into his star-off machine. Then, of course, from then on, as you probably guess, they got into a horrible mess. Oh, look at them all. All the rest of that day on those wild screaming beaches, the fix-it-up chappie kept fixing up Sneetches. Off again, on again, in again, out again. Through the machines, they ran around again, changing their stars every minute or two. They kept paying money. They kept running through. And neither the plane nor the star bellies knew whether this one was that one, or that one was this one, or which one was what one, or what one was who. Then, when every last cent of their money was spent, the fix-it-up chappie packed up, and he went. And he laughed as he drove in his car up the beach. They never will learn. Nope, you can't teach a Sneetch. But McBean was quite wrong, I'm quite happy to say, that the Sneetches got really quite smart on that day. The day they decided that Sneetches and no kind of Sneetch is the best on the beaches. That day, all the Sneetches forgot about stars and whether or not they had one upon theirs. So, I should have started the story saying, for those who have ears to hear, let them hear. And I thought, well, that's kind of confusing, because how many of you have ears? Did you get ears in that whole process, the McBean process? You still have ears? Good. Excellent. Very good. So you have ears to hear. But did you know that not everybody has ears? Who has ears can hear? And some people hear with their eyes, seeing pictures to help them understand a story, which is partly why I shared with the stories, so you could hear it and you could see it with your eyes. Now rub your bellies where the stars would go. Do you have one on yours? I don't. But just imagine what it would be like if you had a star upon yours. Oh, you do have stars. I'll call you later. Okay. So if you had a star upon your belly, it could be smooth or rough or ripply. So that would mean that you heard the story with your ears, eyes with your pictures, and if you had a star upon your belly, you would have touched, you would have had 3 senses involved. Wow, you're really good at stories. So sometimes the great teacher Jesus, yes, I can bring Sneetches and Jesus into the same lesson. I feel very good about that. So sometimes he would end his stories with, for everyone with ears to hear, let them hear. And sometimes that meant hearing with their actual ears. And sometimes that meant hearing with their hearts, with feelings of compassion. Simon says, touch your heart. Good. I think it's important to hear people's stories with all of our senses, seeing and hearing, and also with our and now Simon says, go to have some fun with your friends. Okay, we're going to sing you out. Make it so. Go with love, our hearts go with you. Go and our hearts go too. Learn in love and grow in wisdom. Shine your light in all you do.
I absolutely.
It's on.
Hello? Yeah. I absolutely love seeing the children. That's our future. That's when I hear little squeaks and little eeps and cries and noise, does my heart well. As a community of faith, we put our faith in one another. In Unitarian Universalist congregations, this takes the form of a covenant, a sacred promise freely given of how we aspire to be with one another. I invite you to join me in sharing our covenant. It doesn't matter if today is your first day or if you've already made UU Amherst your spiritual home. We extend to one another the grace of our covenant. Together we promise to gather in compassionate community, to celebrate diversity of thought and unity of spirit, and to seek wholeness for ourselves, our children, and our world. And now Ron Palmieri will come up and talk about hearts and hands.
Thanks, Marlena. Yeah, I'm Ron Palmieri. Have been a member of this church for 37 years. Diane and I, it's easy to remember, that was the year that we were married and joined this church. I've been a member of involved with the Hearts and Hands program for 9 years. I'm also the liaison person between our church and that program. Reverend Michelle has often emphasized that we should strive to become a loving community, not only within our congregation. I feel that being a volunteer with Hearts and Hands gives me the feeling that I'm doing my small part in helping to build a loving community. I have always liked the expression that apparently Mother Teresa had made when she said, we're not asked to do great things on this earth. We're asked to do small things with great love. I'd like to say that again. That we're not asked to do great things on this earth, but we're asked to do small things with great love. Being a volunteer with Hearts and Hands is, I feel, a definite opportunity to put our faith into action. Tabitha to come up to speak more about the program. I just want to mention we're going to have a table set up in the Emerson room after this to answer any questions that you might have about the program. And if you don't have any questions, just stop by at least and say hi. Tabitha Fisher from the Hearts and Hands program.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tabitha Fisher. I'm the Director of Program Services at Hearts and Hands. For those of you who aren't aware, Hearts and Hands is a volunteer-based organization. We serve seniors and people with disabilities residing in Erie and Eastern Erie, Niagara counties. Our main service is transportation to medical appointments, but we also assist with transportation to go grocery shopping, hair appointments, anything a senior or a person with a disability might need for transportation. The way our transportation works is a volunteer goes door through door. What that means is that we go to the client's home, bring them from the door to the vehicle, to your appointment, and back home. Not only for medical transportation, but for transportation, they can also go to a bank or a pharmacy, so they can make up to 3 stops, no charge for services. We know transportation is very hard to find for seniors, and not only is it transportation, but it's companionship. So even taking someone to a doctor and stopping for a cup of coffee means more to that client than just going to a doctor. Besides transportation, we also do in-home services as well. So we can help with things like organizing, bill pay, just sitting and having a cup of coffee with the client for a companionship visit in their home. We have one lady that just likes to go out to dinner. She's widowed and does not have any children in the area, so we take her for a fish fry on Fridays if there's a volunteer available. And that means more to her than going to a doctor. So clients can utilize our services 4 times a month, and there again is no fee for services. The main part that I love, I've actually been with the organization since 2008, and I fell in love with the relationships that grow between the clients and the volunteers. So if you have an opportunity and are able to volunteer, volunteers can pick and choose their own assignments. So if there's just a month where you're not available, if you know of anybody that needs services, feel free to stop by, and I'm happy to answer any questions or go over any more detail you would like to know. Thank you.
With our percussion punctuation over there. I don't even know what to So our song of affirmation is Building Bridges. And we're just going to sing it through twice, okay? So James, if you'll give us some kind of intro, and then we'll sing together. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me with all of our voices and all of our visions? Friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me with all of our voices and all of our visions? Friends, we could make such sweet harmony. And I love the way that song doesn't end. It's I love that. Our House of Many Stories by Reverend Scott Taylor. We gather as a house of stories, many stories woven fine. As we listen to the tales of those who have gone before, the way in front of us becomes more clear. As we make space for voices long silenced, all of us become more free. As we hear the accounts of those who made it through the dark, courage reigns on each and every one. These stories, friends, I need yours as you need mine. It is how we become whole. Yes, we gather as a house of many stories. Come, let us listen once again. To be a Unitarian Universalist, one must be a wee bit idealistic, as well as a little bit grounded. To be a Unitarian Universalist one must reconcile stories with science, honoring both ways of being in the world. To be a Unitarian Universalist is to hold tension between what has been, what is, and what might be. And to do that by delving into religious traditions and practices, holding them up to the light of reason, and becoming responsible and compassionate members of the Earth family. Being a Unitarian Universalist means understanding that we will get it wrong sometimes, but that our covenantal faith will hold us as we give and receive forgiveness, making the space for us to learn and try again. If you come from an authoritative body that has the final word on what scriptures mean and how one should live accordingly, statements I just made may seem strange, possibly even disconcerting. I mean, is nobody in charge here? That is a very interesting question. We describe Unitarian Universalism as a living tradition, a religion that puts its faith in its people, who are less interested in an afterlife than we are to the task of creating heaven on earth. And because Unitarian Universalism is a living tradition, it is subject to change. American poet Maya Angelou said, "Do the best you can until you know better. Then, when you know better, do better." And that really sums up our approach to life, to religion, to individual responsibility. It is that framework that led to a years-long process of discernment regarding our core beliefs and how we express them. It had been expressed in an evolving list of principles since our blended faith family was in 1961. Both the Unitarians and the Universalists had had principles and statements of belief for centuries. Yet when these two faiths merged, something completely new was born, something intentionally pluralistic. Getting ahead of myself. This past June, the years-long process of discernment regarding our core beliefs, our living religion, culminated in a democratic process of voting to either continue with the current 7 principles with an emergent 8th principle, multiculturalism, already adopted by many congregations, or to move to shared values statements captured in one-word petals on a flower graphic. The shared values were identified as justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, generosity. I did them in that order because then they spell jet pig, and then I can remember them. We were moving away from elaborately stated principles and sources to more ambiguity with images. And frankly, I was not super thrilled about that. It felt to me like when the musician Prince changed his name to an unpronounceable image so that he was referred to as the artist previously known as Prince. Really now. And then I did something that was completely out of character for me. I perceived the change as an either-or situation. Stars upon thars or none upon thars. As a sneetch, I definitely was one with none upon thars. All the popular kids were dancing to a new song, showing off their shiny stars, a way of understanding our shared faith through colors and imagery, while I was pining for the beauty of words that elevate and inspire. You know, Dr. Seuss forgot to mention that group of sneetches that stayed away from the beaches. And clearly that was not an option for a minister in this tradition. I know I keep going through images. Keep up, it's okay. So I've had 6 months to think about this transition, and I've come to a potentially radical solution, which, I've overstated it. It's not really radical. I believe that the words, the beloved principle, and the foundation of my ministry could not only coexist with imagery, but that the two might be woven together. So take a look at your order of service. I'm not going to have you wave them at me. I know sometimes I do that to make sure you take them with you at the end of the service, but I'm not going to this is something different than that. Okay. So on the front of your order of service is the image, right, of the petal, the recently adopted shared values. Now, turn your order of service over to the back. Hopefully it's there, but it's somewhere in your order of service. There's the listing of the principles that have been guiding our faith for the last several decades. Now flip back to the front. Flip to the back. Flip to the front. Okay, you're done. But if you look at the front, or just look at the screen, you will see that at the center is love. And that centering had been implicit in the principles, but not explicit. Ha-ha! The graphic of a flower with love at the center suddenly had a context for me. We were not separate sneeches, some with stars and others with none upon theirs. Principles, sources, and shared values could live together in harmony, creating a tapestry that could be enjoyed and understood by those who may have felt like outsiders before. So today we explore the value of pluralism, one of the petals that make up the image of a flower centered in love. And I don't mind telling you that at this moment, in January 2025 in the United States of America, pluralism has become countercultural. For those with ears to hear, let them hear. Pluralism is rough. It is not dainty. It is not holding hands and singing Kumbaya with the various people who think exactly like we do. It is also not being wishy-washy and adopting a whatever theology, which is actually a non-theology. Pluralism, like love, begins at home in human hearts and minds. I'll be right back. I'm still here. I'm just doing something really difficult back here. Don't leave. I know you. Okay. You good here? There we go. All right. Okay, good. Good grief. Can you believe this? Blah, blah, blah. Right? Have you heard the saying that you can't have too open of a mind or your brains will fall out? Just saying. I like you. You're funny. Hey, I like you too. You don't seem as radical as other lefties. Wait, what do you mean by radical? You know, pushing and anything goes, forcing kids to change gender, that kind of thing. Whoa there. Nobody is forcing anyone to do anything. Well, at least nobody on my side is forcing anything. I can't say anything for your side. What happened to all of your open-mindedness? Aren't you supposed to promote my inherent worth and dignity? Oh, only if you promote mine. Wow, wait. I don't think we're going to get anywhere without being able to see the paper, with put-downs, name-calling, and false generalizations. Who asked you anyway? That's the first thing I agree with you on. I was going to have people do that, and then I thought, no one's going to want to like be those parts. It's true. The current climate of polarization and disinformation demonstrates a huge pendulum swing away from pluralism and toward totalitarianism and authoritarianism. People on all sides hold very strong feelings about what is right and wrong and what is best for our country. Remember what I said about change needing to happen first in human hearts? Well, I believe that's where pluralism starts, not with legislation, but with the capacity for openness and change. We're not born with these qualities. We have to work at them. We teach our children that pluralism means that we can hold many truths at once and learn from each other. Pluralism means hold many truths at once and learn from each other. My challenge to you is during this coming week to think about the many truths that you hold. Sometimes it surprises me, the truths that I hold. It usually comes out in exclamation marks when I'm driving. And I'm not really proud of those. I'm working on it. Many truths can coexist. I can be a loving and forgiving human being under the right conditions. Reverend Scott Taylor said, "We gather as a house of stories, many stories woven fine." As we listen to the tales of those who have gone before, the way in front of us becomes more clear. As we make space for voices long silenced, all of us become free. As we hear the accounts of those who made it through the dark, courage reigns on each and every one. These stories, friends, I need yours as you need mine. It is how we become whole. Yes, we gather as a house of many stories. Come, let us listen once again. So I'm going to take this sentiment line by line because I think that there are some really important ideas and ways of living into our ideals that might get lost otherwise, because our eyes are quickly going to the next line. Or is that just me? That could be just me. We gather as a house of stories, many stories woven fine. Here at UU Amherst, those weavings are metaphorical and literal. We are blessed to have a weaver in our midst. So the screen behind me, a weaving of restful, calming neutrals. You could see it better if I moved to the pulpit, but I'm not going to do that. You can come up here, though, later. Bring a sermon. So those calming neutrals make room for the power of words and images to come through. At the back of the chapel is a 3-part weaving that is made up of fabrics, yarn, feathers, and other surprise elements. That weaving was a 9-month process where congregants, y'all, brought in elements each month in the color that corresponded to that band of the rainbow. So we started at the bottom with red and went Roy G. Biv to the top. And the rainbow is one of the ways that we teach children about the principles. Our weaving aunt worked her magic to create something beautiful and lasting. Yes. You can see more of her fiber artistry in the panels. We have so much art in this building. You are allowed to snoop because it's beautiful. Those weavings are a tangible representation of who we are as individuals and as a congregation in this free faith. Each of us brings gifts and challenges, areas of expertise, and the potential for growth. None of us are ascended masters, whatever that means. We're all works of art that are still under construction. Thank goodness. We gather as a house of stories, many stories woven fine. As we listen to the tales of those who have gone before, the way in front of us becomes more clear. One of my favorite things as a minister is to bring to life the story of those who forged this path before us. We have a rich history, replete with justice makers and agents of social reform and change, as well as literary masters and those engaged in scientific inquiry. If you hang around, you will undoubtedly hear about Joseph Priestley, John and Judith Sargent Murray, Charles Dickens, Charles Darwin, Ralph Emerson, Henry David Thoreau, Clara Barton, Kurt Vonnegut, and so many more. I believe we have inherited responsibility to strive to become good ancestors for those who will follow us, whether or not they share this faith. Did Clara Barton save her nursing skills only for those who professed universal salvation? No. Her universalism may have inspired her dedication, but she gave her all in service to the betterment of humanity, beginning with those who were in her path and whose lives could be changed for the better by what she had. If you're going, who's Clara Barton? She was the founder of the Red Cross. There you go. We gather as a house of stories, many stories woven fine. As we listen to the tales of those before, the way in front of us becomes clear. As we make space for voices long silenced, all of us become more free. Those martyred for this free faith, Michael Servetus, Francis David, James Reeb, among others. And we also make space for the voices long silenced that may not have been Unitarians or Universalists, but whose voices were suppressed because of their skin color, socioeconomic status, their identities, and whom they loved. It's true. When we make space for these voices, all of us become more free. As we hear the accounts of those who made it through the dark, courage reigns on each and every one. These stories, friends, I need yours as you need mine. It is how we become whole. Yes, we gather as a house of many stories. Come, let us listen once again. We gather as a house of many stories. I love the blank looks I receive when I gather with religious professionals from other traditions and explain that within my congregation there are Christians, Jews, pagans, agnostics, humanists, atheists, and more, all finding value and purpose in sharing their journeys with others who seek to make the world a better place. Pluralism means that we can hold many truths at once, learn from each other. We can hold one another's stories, one another's truths. This is a house of courageous inquiry and wounded hearts. Individually and collectively, we can hold many truths at once and learn from each other. None of us arrive here fully formed, able to contain the fullness of the possibilities of this faith. Yet we all bring something important to weave into the tapestry of our shared lives and values. If all of this resonates with you, I guess all I can say is, welcome home.
And now, our song and response can be found in the green hymnal, 1056, in front on the teal hymnal, I apologize. It's pronounced Tulakazio. Thank you, Ron. Which translates from the Zulu, which means, "Be still my heart, even here I am at home." Please rise in body and spirit and feel free to move as we sing this through 4 times.
All right, I should tell you, so it's Tula Klizio Nala Pasekaya. Say it. Tula Klizio Nala Pasekaya. Okay. Hey Kaya, Nala Pasekaya. Excellent. Sing through 4 times, it will get better each time and feel groovy. Okay? Do something, band. Here we go. Tu la cuisine, la passe caia. Tu la cuisine, la passe caia. Hey, caia, la passe caia. Hey, caia, la passe caia. Tu la cuisine, la passe caia. Tu la cuisine, la passe caia. Hey, caia, la passe caia. Hey, caia, third time. Tu la cuisine, you know it now. Tu la cuisine, la passe caia. Hey, caia, la passe caia. Hey, caia, now give it all you got. Tu la cuisine, la passe caia. Tu la cuisine, la passe caia. Hey, caia, la passe caia. Hey, caia, la passe caia. Very nice. You may be seated.
Good job, guys. I'm impressed. Move away from the mic and let Michelle have the mic. You would not want to hear my singing. And that's serious. I've heard it, and I laughed out loud. Just saying. Making time for an offering of gifts and pledges is an act of faith, an opportunity for us to live into one of our core values of Unitarian Universalism, generosity. That's the G. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationship of interdependence and mutuality. You see, we believe that we pick fruit from trees we did not plant. We drink water from wells we did not dig. This is as it should be, as long as we dig and plant for those who will come after us. If you'd like to help pass the baskets along the aisle, please rise, and the usher will bring one to you. The offering will now be gratefully received. We need one more helper. There we go.
Go ahead, Ron. Ron,
Play.
count us in.
Count us in, Ron. We began our service with the lighting of our chalice, and now we extinguish the chalice, not to quench the flame, but return it to individual hearts, strengthened by this time spent together, so that we can share our light in the world. Please join me as we extinguish our combined flame and accept the renewed flame in that each of us might bring more light and love to a dark and hurting world. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. I love the babies crying. As our service draws to an end, our service to the world is ready to begin. You'll find many opportunities for growth and service in your service and on our website. All are invited to stay for coffee and conversation in the Emerson room, which is through the double doors in the back of the chapel, or through the lobby. Parents, please remember, bring your children to the gathering and bring them to coffee hour. I really like seeing the kids there. There's a kid-friendly zone at the window at the end of the Emerson room. And all you other folks who were once children, you can stop by and say hi to the kids. As always, you'll find many opportunities for community, personal growth, poetry as practice, and later, and service printed in your order of service and on our website. Remember, this place becomes your place as you participate in the life of this congregation. And now, please rise in body or spirit as we sing our closing blessing. Remain standing afterward for the benediction.
Look around, twinkle your eyes. Travel light and travel easy till I see you once again. Travel light and travel easy and remember I'm your friend. Our benediction comes from Albert Schweitzer. At times, our own light goes rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us. Go light some flames, y'all. Go in peace.
Thanks for your music. Pleasure. Thanks, Pedal.
See you next time. See you. Will do.
Thank you.